What are you doing there?
Ballet.
No way.
Yep, this was about the ballet.
Holy cow. I love how invested you guys are in the program.
Yep, that's me, really. I mean, the life just comes along, but it's my investment.
That's amazing. So is Cersei there on the
She
trip too?
is, she is, yeah.
Okay,
They have
good.
a, Wasserman has an office here too, so it's good for her to check in here, and we friends. I forgot how much I love New York City, to be honest.
Do you?
Yeah, I got to the point where I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna try to fix that. Is that better?
Sure.
Sorry, it's bad visual here.
That's right.
Uh, yeah, I before coming, I was like, oh, I've done New York. I don't need to do New York again, but it's an amazing town. I forget.
What part of the city are you staying in?
Upper West Side.
Nice.
Yeah, block
Um,
from the park.
Amazing. Yeah, what's the weather like right now?
It's perfect. I mean, it's like
Okay, good.
springish, like probably low 60s with a little bit of bite in the air, but it's just has that feeling of, flowers blooming everywhere and everybody coming back to life after the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, went to the Met yesterday and
Wow.
saw some art and all those New York things.
Yeah, the way you're describing it makes me love it too. Um, I went with my mom in July for a wedding, so it was right in the middle of summer, so it was hot, but she had never been before. So kind of seeing it through somebody's eyes who was going for the first time and wanting to do every touristy thing
Yeah,
was actually really fun.
it's totally fun. I mean, you forget, like, even, yeah, where when we were in, oh, where were we? What fancy museum? The Louvre or whatever last time, I can't remember. And you think, oh, this is all so much better than America, but then you realize, no, like the Met is as world class a museum as there is.
Yeah, that's a good point. My mom, one of the funny things about that trip was she wanted to ride every version of transportation that there was. So the Uber, it was like Uber she didn't really care about because she's done Uber before, but she wanted a taxi. She
Yep.
wanted to ride a bus. She wanted to ride the trains. She wanted the subway,
did you
all of
did
it.
you horse and carriage through Central Park?
That's the only one we didn't do.
Ooh, or
We rode,
the
we rode the
did
city bikes.
did you do where the guy pedals you around on the bike?
No, no.
So
But we did.
this seems like another trip needs to be in the works.
I hope she's not listening. She didn't realize that she overlooked. We did try to do the pedal bikes like in the water in the
Yeah.
lake in the Central Park because I think they're shutting that boathouse down or
Oh
something.
yeah.
So we tried to do that, but the line was just outrageous. So we didn't get that either.
Did you take in a Broadway show when you were here, David Lee Scales?
No, we did not. We only had it was a wedding, and then we just stayed for an extra, I think, 2 or 3 nights. So we're kind of limited on time. But no, we didn't make it to Broadway.
And you did not take in a ballet either, I'm assuming.
You're right. It's a whole nother trip that we got to plan. I really failed on that one. I know we kind of already opened, but let's open with a listener line call.
David, Chaz, this one's for the grit. Chris from Jersey over here listening to the pod. Bad boy Rai talking about bringing food onto a plane. I don't have issue with that. What I have issue with is a guy from New Jersey eating California Pizza Kitchen. That shit is disgusting. So leading me to this barrel now. Eating your regional specialty food in other cities. Ryan's from Jersey. He shouldn't be eating pizza anywhere other than Jersey, New York City. Inversely, when I lived in San Diego, did not eat pizza, but I was crushing burritos left and right. I don't think I've had a burrito in the last 10 years living back on the East Coast. Just don't do it. Only get it when I'm in San Diego. That's my barrel and now for you. Eating your town or city's regional specialty in other cities. Keep up the work.
Rai deserves the call out on that one.
Deserves the slam onto the reef. He thought he was getting barreled, but no. This caller is 100% right. I don't touch Mexican food when I'm in New York City. I eat pizza. I eat hot dogs. I eat fancy Michelin-starred things. I don't eat no stinking Mexican food here. Do you?
No, heck no. Well, actually, that's so funny now that I think about it. Our video editor for this show lives in New York, and she's like, man, you really got to go to this one restaurant. It's phenomenal. And it was a Mexican restaurant, but it was super, um, fancy Mexican.
Hoity-toity Mexican.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
no, this is a straight up. Yeah, it is a no barrel to eat. Like I think it should be like if your city is really really known for something. And also, for example, it's okay for me living in North County, San Diego, to eat Philly cheesesteaks anywhere I go, right? I love. Do you like a Philly cheesesteak?
I do, of
I
course.
love a Philly cheesesteak. I've even had a Philly cheesesteak in Philadelphia and it was phenomenal, right? But since I didn't grow up eating that as my local cuisine, it's okay for me to eat it everywhere, but it would
Yeah.
not be okay if I was a Philadelphian to eat my Philly cheesesteak in Cardiff by the Sea.
Yeah. I mean, really, the ultimate expression of this with pizza would be if you're from Naples
Yep.
and then you find yourself in California and you would not go to California Pizza Kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just, it's such a bastardization of what you grew up on. You just would not do it. So,
Here's the thing though. I have a question for you. Uh, I think pizza is such a staple, right? That I'm like, of course, if you're Napolitano, eating your pizza from the birthplace of pizza, Naples, that's fine, right? But I think you going to New York and eating a New York slice, that's its own thing, right? That is basically a separate category of pizza from Naples, correct?
it is, but there's a mental trick. You have to remind yourself that this is no longer
This is not.
pizza. This is almost a different category.
I mean, this is pizza. Pizza, I would allow, since it is so delicious and wonderful, I
Yeah.
would allow pizza to be a whole food group in and of itself, like meat, right? Because you have meat and you say, oh, I love to eat meat. Uh, but you can eat steak, you can eat chicken, you can eat all kinds of meat, right?
That
I'm going to
is
say
true.
pizza is a category like meat. And so you have your Naples pizza, right? Which could be like veal, right? Like the very height of sophistication. Then you have your New York pizza, you have your Detroit pizza, you have your Chicago pizza. You have all these different varietals of pizza that are entirely different, both from one another and
Yeah.
from the, original. But just because pizza is such a broad category, but California Pizza Kitchen is not the best version of California's pizza.
No,
California, in fact, has no version of pizza, which is weird.
no.
There's no California pizza. There is a Detroit pizza. There's no even San Francisco or LA or whatever pizza, right?
We've got the California burrito with the
We
French
do have
fries
that.
in it.
We do have that. It's a
So
great.
that,
Oh, is the
but
California pizza just a pizza with French fries on it?
maybe it could be. But you're right. The veal is more akin to chicken than Chicago pizza is to Napolitana pizza.
That's true. Then a deep dish
Totally.
Chicago pizza. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Have you ever had a pizza in Chicago?
I've never been to Chicago.
I never have either.
Yeah.
When we do our road show, I guess we're gonna have to go to Chicago.
Yeah. One of my best friends is from Chicago and he's like super Chicago guy. Like the accent, the attitude,
The
like
Cubs hat.
pro. Yeah. Like pro. He's super like Blackhawks all the way, you know? Is that what it is? The
I think
Blackhawks?
so. Chicago Blackhawks. Yep.
Yeah. I don't really listen when he's talking, but at any rate, good call. And Bad Boy Rai deserves the shame that he received.
Slam.
So, hey, first out of the gates, Margaret River, day one for the men. Day one for the women actually ran 2 days ago. Day one for the men ran last night for us in the U.S. So let's cover that really quickly. Were you able to watch any of the comp?
No, and here's the thing I realized when you have this is going to be a problem. I don't want to harp. I don't want to kick the dead horse. I do kind of. That dead horse is so fun to kick. I'm just going to say quickly, if you have anything in your life going on that's vaguely interesting, professional surf watching is the very first thing that goes right out the window. I knew the contest was coming on. I mean, I was like running around New York, going here to here to here to here. Not even one part of me thought I should take out my phone and watch even a few minutes of the heats. I should even see how good the quality of surf is. I thought, oh, surf's comps on. Cool. Don't care. Do not care at all. That's the last thing I care about right now.
Let's say 7 years ago, if you were in New York doing exactly what you're doing now and the comp came on and it was pipe, let's say, would you engage?
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I would have found a, cafe, coffee
Yeah.
spot, whatever, and watched some of it.
So the ultimate question is it that your interest, you just matured out of it, or is it that the thing that they're doing has gotten less interesting?
Yeah, I mean, I would make the argument, and I think we make the argument every
Yeah.
single week, that the thing that they're doing is less interesting.
I think that's entirely true too. I try to get out of my little bubble and like really look at it objectively and think, no, I have developed other interests in life. But the reality is I've developed those other interests in life because they've let me down so
Yeah,
frequently.
it
That's all
just
that it is,
it just
because
sucks.
am equally as into other aspects of surfing. You know what I mean? Like my other aspects of surfing have not waned. The interest in those have not waned as
Well,
much as it has in watching professional
and
competitions.
and furthermore, it's not like I'm so interested in doing other things that I have no time, right? I was keenly
Yeah.
aware of what the Padres were doing. I was, checking up on that score. I was trying actually to find the Lakers game to go watch some of that. So it's not just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm doing highbrowish things and don't have time for lowbrow sport, right? It's not that at
Right.
all. Or don't, I just don't have time. I had plenty of time to check in on the Padres or find the Lakers game. I had zero time for the World Surf League's Margaret River Pro.
Well, I'll give you a quick recap of it. I did not watch it either, but this morning when I woke up, I kind of took a quick um, survey of what the main storylines were, and it's funny. Very, the previous four contests have been so abysmal
Bad
that
surf.
like this little bit of decent surf, a couple of performances is super exciting. It's like I saw that things happened and I'm like, oh my gosh,
That's
it wave.
waves.
Yeah, totally. It boosted my adrenaline a tiny bit. And then just within 20 minutes, I was like, well, none of this is actually really worth discussing. Like in the years and years that we've been doing the podcast, does this day of competition rank among things that we should discuss? And the answer is absolutely not. It just does in the context of this year.
Yeah,
It feels
totally.
exciting compared to the rest of this year. But the reason why I think it was exciting in that context is that the waves were contestable. So they definitely were not good. They definitely were not pumping, and they definitely were not living up to the hype of this swell that arrived the day before the event. And apparently it's going to be peaking today, new swell. So it should be better. The next day of competition should be better. But it was contestable. So people were able to kind of get their thing on. And those surfers who really needed to rise to the occasion did. So Slater showed up and he did his Slater thing. Kaloe Andino surfed to his fullest potential, won his heat convincingly.
I
So
like to
seeing
hear that.
those kind of storylines come back around, the storyline of these people unfulfilling their potential happens over and over and over and over and over. We're bored of it. And then when they live up to the potential, now there's a spike in interest. But again, they're not scoring perfect heats. This isn't Owen Wright at Cloudbreak. This is them putting together a 15-point heat total at chest high Margaret River.
I would love for Kolohandino to fall off tour. Not that I would love that to happen, but for him to fall off tour and then sue the World Surf League for giving him an impossible work conditions.
I
Say these
love
were
it.
these were unsafe work conditions that directly led to me losing my job. And by
Excellent.
unsafe,
That
I
is
mean just
such a
crap.
Let's start the petition.
Yeah.
Unsafe work conditions, because that's the thing. The kid in the iPhone factory in China, he can't sue Apple. Like his
Oh,
hands hurt. He doesn't have access to a lawyer. All that kind of stuff. They need an advocate. They need
yep.
an advocate to get them to band together. So you and I can be the advocate and get all of them together. Unsafe work conditions.
I mean, and that's what it is. That's what the World Surf League made unsafe work conditions. Chloe could not do his work in those conditions. It was unsafe. And frankly, I think you and I both got this DM, which was talking about knee injuries, etc., right? Where John regularly tweaks his knee, and now we have Jack Robinson hurt his knee because it's unsafe, right? They have to manufacture turns and or moves in garbage little slop, and there goes your ACL.
And further to that guy's point was people always get injured in small waves.
Yeah, I mean that
Like
was the point.
especially on the professional level. It's like Kelly Slater talks about the worst injury he got knocked out and almost drowned was surfing like 4 foot, beach break in Portugal or something like that. So a guy who surfs harrowing barreling reef passes regularly gets most injured
Yeah.
in a beach break. And so, yeah, we've seen it in terms of the injury roster. Jack Robinson at Crappy Bells last month. And then, of course,
Unsafe work
everybody.
conditions. This is a class action lawsuit that professional surfers can file against. Well, you know what? I know even lawyers amongst our dedicated, beautiful listening ranks. So we've got the lawyers, we've got the bullhorn. Now all we need is the surfers. Class action.
And we've got a billionaire who's
Going to just pay out.
yeah, going to be able to just pay out.
Speaking of billionaires and things, are we done talking about Margaret River?
I was just going to ask you who's on your survival team.
Oh, I do have. So I was going to ask you. I got Ethan Ewing, which I felt really weird about. I thought this is the wrong move. Did he lose his heat?
I don't think he won, but I don't think he got last.
It's a weird thing to pick Ethan as a goofy for this wave. There was a lot of weird I felt about it, but I thought my weird feeling, my gut reaction was to go Kaio Abelli. Kaio let me down year one of Survival League, so I'm really reticent to pick him. Yeah, but that's what my gut was telling me. But usually if I go against my gut, it's the better call.
Okay. But why would Ethan be a goofy pick?
Because him being a goofy foot.
Regular. Are you thinking Ryan Callanan?
Oh, is Ethan Greg?
Ethan's like the Andy Irons.
Oh, never mind. I feel good. I'm back.
I'll cut that for you. Ethan got second in his heat. Jackson Baker dominated that heat, and then
okay, that's fine.
Wild card Jarvis Earl got third. So Ethan's not past the round of 32, but he's into the round of 32.
Yeah, great.
So I was going to pick Kaio for this event. At the beginning of the week, I was like, yeah, Kaio's the guy. Like,
remember when he surfed Cloudbread or surfed? We talked about it on the podcast when he surfed Margaret. Like, was the only guy out there. I think that was when we had Man of the People, where he was alone in the dark.
Completely. But I then realized when I went to go, I actually clicked Kaio, and then I was scrolling down the list to click submit, and I saw Joao Chianca, and I'm like, oh, I didn't put. So I created my survival picks before the season started, and I'm just like, I'm going to stick to the spreadsheet. Joao had not risen to the fame that he's now, to first position essentially before the season started, so he wasn't even on my radar. And then when Jack Robinson, who I had for this, pulled out, I was like, Kaio was just kind of, I don't know. I was just reaching for somebody.
Yeah.
But Joao.
But Joao went out, didn't he? I mean, Joao's into the eliminations.
No, he got second as well. Kelly beat him, so he's into the round of 32.
Okay, so you and I both sort of limped into the round of 32, but we didn't get, there's no nervousness for the elimination round.
Correct.
Well, great. Congratulations.
What were you going to say, though, speaking of billionaires?
Well, I was just going to say, speaking of Margaret and billionaires and people who work for billionaires, did you see Eric Logan, chief of executives of the World Surf League's 2-camera Instagram bit from Margaret River?
I saw it, and the volume was down, and it looked kooky, and then I just didn't even take the time to watch
Everybody needs to go back and listen to that, watch it, and listen to it. It is absolute peak surf kook. Like, you realize that kooky, of course, like pizza, you have your category big kook, right? Your big category kook. And then underneath that, there is many different varietals of kook. Of course, we have our vulnerable adult learner. We have our, guy who puts his wetsuit on backwards. We have the person who shoots his board or can't hold their board while duck diving. We have the influencer who's taking pictures. So many different versions of kook, right? Eric's thing from his 2-camera bit, which I don't know who he thinks these are for or why this is necessary. I don't know why he thinks that his face should be really front and center of the advertisement of professional surfing for some unknown reason. They must have hired some firm or something that said, hey, Jesse Miley and Eric, the more you guys can get out front, the better this feels, the more personal this all feels. I have no idea what either of them are thinking, but especially Eric. In any case, so like he talks in the we person, which is so weird. Like, we've never been to, Margaret River, so we thought we'd head on out and check this out for, we've never been to Western Australia. Why are you saying we? Well, just say I've never been, so I thought I would fly and check it out to begin with.
Yeah.
He then goes and Like he's standing at Margaret River, right, and saying, "So here's Margaret River, or Main Break or whatever." But everything is wrong. And let's look over. Here is the box right here. Now, people always ask us why we don't run at the box. Like the way he was saying the box is just a word, right? I mean, it's weird to get it wrong. Every time he said it, it was so wrong in his inflection and everything. And his understanding of it was all wrong. He was like, people always ask us, yeah, this is literally what he said. People ask us why we don't run out the box. Well, here's Main Break, breaking. Here is the box, not breaking, right? And showed it over. And, like thinking, hey, dumbass, like, people aren't asking you why you don't run at the box always. People are asking when the box is pumping, oftentimes, why you're not just going over there instead of kind of lopey Main Break, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a specific question, and it's not a general, you should run at the box all the time.
Yeah.
Silly. And it just goes on, devolves from there.
Is it worth playing for our listeners? Because I could pull the clip and play it in the
Yes,
post-production.
Okay. Yes, please. Yeah, at least
go.
that part's in like the first 30 seconds, so you don't have to listen much beyond that. I even tuned out after that. But just listeners, to the way Eric Logan says the words, the box.
Now, a lot of people always talk about the box. Like, when can you run at the box? Can you run at the box? So just to give you an idea, here's Main Break right here from where I'm standing on the cliff. Right over there is the box, and you can see it's 2 drained right there at the box.
Yeah, well, it's just further evidence that he doesn't understand surfing. He has no background in surfing. He doesn't understand surfing, and he has the most cursory explanation for why they aren't, as an organization, doing something. But it's like, there's an easy solve for that. You can run at the box. You just need to schedule your events properly in order to do it,
or like, I don't know that surf fans are always clamoring for it to be at the box. Like, I don't, sometimes
if we see that there's a box day within the waiting period, then we want you to run at the box.
Totally. That's it. But you don't need the whole event. The whole event does not need, I always think that's what makes, one of the things that makes Margaret River great is that you can showcase 2 styles of surfing or 2 types of surfing in one event, where if you have a box day in the Margaret waiting period, then that's like when Italo had his first session ever at the box, that wave that he dropped in on, and all, like, that is seared in the memory, right? Where I think you get those kind of memories being seared at the box that I can't for the life of me think of one Main Break wave of consequence or of that has stuck with me. Like, they're
John
great.
John's turns.
Yeah, maybe, but those get mixed up with other places John surfs in my mind.
Yeah,
and nothing against Main Break. I think it's fine, but it's like the combo of box Main Break is nice.
The mobile contest site for a given event is an epic thing to do.
Yep.
And because if the point of running in various venues throughout the course of the year is to show who the best surfer is, like who the best complete surfer is, you can do that in one event.
Yep.
Seeing somebody who can dominate Main Break and then dominate at the box is, it's undeniable.
Also go to North Point. Remember when they did
Amazing.
when they added North Point into and now you have like really, really different kinds of waves, which Western Australia uniquely offers, right? Where, if you're, I don't know, the difference between Bell's Bowl and Winky Pop, is to me negligible. I understand that they are different types of surfing and different types of waves and all that, but it's not the difference of Main Break, box, North Point.
No, exactly. Well, I think that covers it for Margaret River. We've got a listener line call with a Kook and Curran submission from a former world champion surfer.
Great.
Chaz, Scales, C to the J. Hey, hoping this Kook or Curran has not been done before, but wax. Let's narrow in on wax here. Kook or Curran either doesn't have wax, both of them, or it's melted into the cup holder. And I vividly remember, like, in the parking lot searching out, that guy looks like a medium-class surfer. He's got to have wax. Hey, you got any wax? Pulls out the most trippest bar you've ever seen with the wax comb. Everything's perfectly in order. better than you even having wax yourself. So there it is, Kook Curran, fingers and toes crossed. That one hadn't been done before because, like you said, these things aren't easy to come up with. So you guys are killing it. I definitely find myself disagreeing, which is very healthy. So keep it up.
All right. It's a little bit of a jumbled audio, but CJ Hobgood submission, Kook and Curran not having wax.
It is out of the park, Siege. We have not done that, but he is exactly right.
Not having wax. Because I really had to think long and hard about this one. And his example of he is a world champ and he doesn't have wax already classifies it partially, right? And if you're a Kook, you also don't have wax because you just don't know, or you either, so his thing is you either don't have wax or it's melted into the cup holder.
Yes.
Yeah. But then the example of like, I need wax. So he surveys the parking lot and he's like, who is the most intermediate surfer that I can find here? Because you guarantee that guy has wax.
At least 3 bars of wax.
And a shower kit, probably.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But you're right, 3 bars of wax. He has base coat, he has the regular wax, and he has a top coat too.
Yep.
And they're in the little plastic Tupperware container that, like, I don't know what brand does that, and then a wax comb with it. He's got it all.
It is so true. It is so true. Do you take wax to the beach with you, or do you wax at home and then go?
Oh, I just leave it in my car. I have like a bin in my car that I keep all that stuff in.
I mean, precisely. Like I'll wax at home and then go down. But if I lived further away, I suppose, then I would. And I as an intermediate surfer, always, I never don't have wax or
I
access
always
to
have
wax.
Yeah.
So which again, totally, it props up CJ's point even more.
CJ nailed it. Not having wax is Kook or Curran.
Yep, completely.
I've never not had wax,
and
I'm
can't
totally mediocre.
I can't imagine like John Florence, like oddly, it doesn't compute that he would have wax in his car or truck or right. Like I figure he just like wax just magically appears for those guys.
At a certain level, everybody provides everything. You don't need to for yourself. You have 3 handlers who have backup everything, your photographer, by the way, world-class photographers keep fin keys with them. They keep all that
wax,
stuff just
that
as,
is so true. And eventually, I mean, it really is true that the part of your brain that says bring wax for a Curran would atrophy and die because you're around so many people who have wax, right? Why would you? Because wax can be a sticky mess, of course. It can melt. It can get on stuff. It's like not that cool to have wax, right?
It's a hassle. I mean, the fact I said that I have a bin, that bin came into existence after 20 years of surfing.
Yeah.
For the first 20, I melted wax into the back of my car. Yeah, in the cup holder, into the back of the car, scrape it out, try to melt it a little bit, then scrape it a little bit more, rub some sand to try to grit that. So, but now as a responsible adult, I've got a few spare fin keys. I've got a few spare leash, strings, a little bit of everything. I never go without, but I'm also the most mediocre surfer I've ever been in my life.
Yep. Thank you, former world champion CJ Hobgood, and he's exactly right. That's what makes them so good is how hard they are. He says these are hard to come up with, correct? Like that's what makes discovering a Kook or Curran. It's like finding a gold nugget in the stream. We're all out there prospecting, but not everybody's finding gold. That's why gold is valuable. CJ, you found a nugget.
You really did. And the crazy thing about it is it's all around you.
Yeah.
Like they exist in our real life, these Kook and Currans. It's just identifying where the gold is lying,
So true.
And the other thing is it's named Kook and Curran. Curran is the perfect example of somebody who would never have wax.
Yeah.
And he's also the example of if he doesn't have wax, he would not do what CJ did and look for the intermediate surfer in the lot and ask them for wax. He would go out without wax on his board, or he would just like rub it in the back. He'd take the deck of his board, rub it in the back of his car where the wax had previously melted just to get like a little bit of a layer on there and then take that out.
I was just going to say, like, Tom Curran surfing boogie boards, Tom Curran surfing skim boards, Tom Curran surfing all manner of weird stuff. I for sure sometimes he thinks, I don't want wax. Like I want my feet to be slidey and slippery, just like the water beneath them. Like I want to be one with this thing. And when you're Tom Curran, you don't need wax. You don't need anything.
Tom is above wax.
Yeah. Why wax? What's wax?
Tom,
I still love getting the, when you're waxing, what are you doing? And from people, like I was in the yard waxing the other day and I can't remember who it was. Somebody walked by and said, "What are you doing?" And I was like, how in the world is waxing a surfboard still a mystery too? I get that you don't surf or whatever, but you've never seen a movie, you've never seen an advertisement, you've never seen anything, or conceptually, you can't understand that something is sticky. I think wax to non-surfers is still only something that makes you slide. Like you wax your bottom of your skis or you wax your snowboard or whatever. Yeah. And so the idea of waxing a board for stickiness,
man. So I've never encountered that experience.
You never have?
Because I only wax my surfboard at the beach. I live farther from the beach than you do.
That's true.
And so if I'm at the beach, people know what waxing a surfboard is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we got intro music for tools to live by. All right. Tools to live by, brought to you by the ultimate tool that you can own, which is a watch. Veyer watches specifically. Promo code is SURF15 for 15% off. And Veyer watches, Chaz.
Veyer watches, man. I tell you what, you feel classy when you're wearing a watch. You feel like an adult male with a purpose.
Exactly.
It's a good feeling to have.
You're in New York City, you're running around all day, your phone's liable to die, you're using the GPS all the time on that thing. Yeah. And so you're looking up restaurants on Yelp probably. So if that phone were to die, you still need to check the time. And so
of course you do.
A watch will keep you in business. And a watch will keep you in business no matter where you are in the world, especially if it's waterproof and you're on a surf trip. And the Veyer watches are in fact waterproof. They have a warranty for it. We use the one that has the solar dial, so it absorbs energy from the sun to power the watch. You don't need to wind it. You don't need a new battery. You don't need anything. The sun takes care of it for you.
Peak environmentalism.
Exactly. Veyer is spelled V-A-E-R, free U.S. shipping, easy returns. They have styles for everybody. And they're just incredibly well made, like out of high quality, scratch free sapphire crystal, all that sort of stuff. Anyways, tools to live by, brought to you by Veyer, is where we provide advice for our listeners, give them the tools to navigate their life. And we have an email. He said, "Hello, David, Lee, and Chaz. I need some advice about a vow in my life that I can't shake. My mother. She learned to surf as a kid in the Outer Banks and has been surfing pretty consistently for 40 or so years. She taught me and my siblings to surf as young children, mainly as a way to get us to leave her alone when we're at the beach. However, now I'm almost 30, and while I'm probably past my peak performance, she's taken an even steeper decline. I had friends in high school who picked up surfing late and would always want to go surfing with me, even though they weren't that good. I'd take them to lesser breaks and try to avoid their calls and texts during good swells because it seemed embarrassing to surf with them. Now that kooky friend is my mom. She'll no look burn people, pull back from good set waves, and get stuck on the inside on her neon yellow longboard, typically wearing a pink bucket hat. Riding a yellow longboard, okay? While summer approaching is no big deal because the surf is going to be pretty crappy for the most part. But the fall hurricane season in the near future, I don't know what to do. My brother brought her out on dawn patrol last fall, and she seriously tweaked her knee just on the paddle out. I don't want her to get hurt when the surf gets good, and I also don't want to have to babysit a vulnerable adult every time I go surf. Please let me know if you have any thoughts on the issue. Keep up the work. Thanks. Awesome.
Really, this is one of my favorite of all time. This goes into our email Hall of Fames right here. Like the build up, like every part of it was spot on. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I'm gonna say what you do. I really do feel good about the advice we give here because I feel it is not only workable, but it is straight good. Just thinking ghost your mom, right? Like, treat your mom like your friends in terms of come over for dinner, take her out for brunch, do all the things. But like this expectation that we're glued to our phone all the time, hitting every message, knowing everything, right? Like, and so ghost. Now, if she asks you to go surfing, this is where it gets a little trickier, right? So so ghost when you're about to go and you start to see your phone ring, then just don't answer. It's no expectation that you were by your phone, right? Why would there be an expectation that you were always by your phone? But the or text or the call, hey, let's go surfing tomorrow, that you accidentally pick up or that you have to deal with. What do you do there, David Lee?
I'm going to take the opposite stance. I don't like the ghosting your mom stance. although everybody ghosts their mom. Like at a certain age, an adult male ghosts their mom.
Of course.
That's a regular thing to do,
That's
whether you
saying.
surf or not.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm anti is because this is a really unique bond. Like the fact that your mom surfs and that you guys have that in common, she shared that with you, is super cool. And the reality is she won't be able to surf much longer. If she's 70, her days are numbered, and you will miss the time when you did used to surf together. And there will be new swells. There will be other fall or autumns that come. And so you're only going to get, let's say, 1 or 2 more autumns. She wants to surf with you, go surf with her. The tweaking her knee situation, I think you maybe have to have an honest conversation with her about what her capabilities are, but you could find somewhere that the waves are still good and not as, threatening as the main peak or whatever.
The problem is, though, our dear writer ain't getting any younger himself. He's 30. These are kind of peak years are dripping away. So are you going to waste 2 of your peak years paddling around with your invalid mother?
Well, the question is, what do you value more, that the quality time with your mom in the surf or getting barreled? I think
question. Here. So we've just stumbled on the perfect solution. It's when it's a crappy-ish day, that's when you say, hey mom, let's go surf, right? And then then you're fulfilling your surf duty with your mother in either not the best days and or not the best places, and then ghost when it gets good.
So get her surfed out.
Yep.
If you see a swell's coming on Thursday and it's Monday, she'll be like, Mom, let's hit it hard today, tomorrow, Wednesday. Yep. And then on Thursday, she's like, I need a break. You're like, peace.
Yeah. Say, you go relax, man. Have a comfortable time. Yeah. Good. See, we solved a problem. We solved it. We solved it through, this was a hard one. This was a tricky one.
Well, it's, put yourself in the mom's shoes, right? Like if you teach Hemi, I actually maybe throw out surfing, ballet. You're doing ballet with her right now. At a certain point, she's going to be embarrassed to have you trying to do ballet with her.
Well, I mean, it's not just that. She'll be embarrassed going to the ballet with me, right?
Yes.
And that's going to hurt. That's going to sting. But I will have to say, you go to ballet you go watch the ballet with your wonderful ballerina friends, have a good time. Then I'm just gonna go sneak in the back. So that's what, if mom is listening, that's what mom could do. Mom would say, you go surf with your friends, and then just keep showing up.
See, I think while it's a noble position for you as the father to acknowledge that and then to give her space, the even more noble thing would be for Hemi to realize how much it means to you and include dad in it.
Well, but even the nobility, and this writer, I think, hits the nail on the head really with this, is you can't help but cringe, right? His description of, even if it is totally noble, but inside, if you're just like, oh, like if, you don't want that for anybody. You don't want anybody to be just cringing.
I do sympathize with that part of it where it's like part of him wants to do this with her, but her ability has declined so much.
I mean, the no look burn is just, and
The
knowing that's my, and the
and
struggling on the inside.
the pulling back on set waves too. It's like you see your mom queued up for the wave of the day and she strokes and then just pulls back on her own volition. I'd be like, Mom, what the? Like you start cussing at your mom in the lineup.
I mean, especially imagine
Kook shouting at
imagine if somebody was like right inside of her, ready to have the wave of their life, but they pulled back because mom was going. Then mom pulls back. There's nothing worse than that. Nothing worse than
she's gonna get screamed at, and then you got to defend your mom.
Hey, that's my mom. Yeah,
I mean, this is the conundrum now that we're looking at it under this angle. Like having to the kookiest person in the lineup, and you have to defend that person, even though you would never under any other circumstance.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's why the workaround is take her surfing on crappy days at crappy spots, ghost her when it gets good.
I mean, honestly,
accidentally unavailable.
In addition to all of that, surf away from the crowds. I think that's the part A is just get away from other crowds and get one-on-one time with your mom, I think.
Yeah.
But
so
man, is there any version of this where you can have an honest conversation with your mom?
No,
and just be like, "Hey, mom, you
suck.
Freaking kooking it. Like you look kooky, you're acting kooky, and it's bringing shame to our family name."
Yep. Nope. You cannot ever have that part of the conversation. That one. That's why, again, Tools to Live By is so good, is because very rarely can you take anything that's personal head on, right? You got to find the workaround. You got to find the tool to live by.
That is true. That is the tools to live by, is to never
be
confront
honest.
anything head on. The ultimate tool is to subvert all honesty. You gotta present a little modicum of truth, but you really need to do a workaround.
I mean, that's the thing. It's nothing like a bald-faced lie, because I'm not telling him to tell, ever lie to his mom. Ghosting is not lying.
Right.
That's the workaround.
Yeah. I think we've solved it. So, thank you for that email. It was a wonderful email. You're in a unique position because I think very few people's moms surf with them. Devin Howard's mom surfs. There's a couple, but and thank you to Veyer. Well, I didn't say it, but Veyer is spelled VAER. VeyerWatches.com. Promo code SURF15 for 15% off. Brought to you by the Ultimate Tool.
Veyer Watches.
Outro.
Tim Allen, I can't believe people thought that was funny. His I'm an unevolved male. But that was funny enough, apparently, to not only have a show get greenlit, but to go for 5 or 6 or however many seasons Home Improvement went for.
Dude, more than that. It was you watched it for 4 or 5 or 6, and then it kept going for another 5. And he made more money. If you look at his net worth, it's shockingly high just because that show got syndicated everywhere and he was the main earner on it,
But the whole show is literally based on him going on that sound.
It's stereotypical machismo male who doesn't have a thought beyond that grunt.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
There was a few good gimmicks though, like the neighbor not being able to see the neighbor's face, things like that kept you engaged week to week.
The hot tool girl.
Oh yeah, I think she was she in season? I don't think she was added until the 3rd or 4th season though, right?
Yeah, I couldn't remember. And the boys that went on, the sons that went on to kind of other fame-ish.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor Thomas. All the girls thought he was hot. So that's the thing. They had ways to engage every demographic. You know, let's put a young, good-looking boy with cool hair. Let's put the hot, young, older chick.
The only demographic they missed was anybody who was not lily white. It was a show.
That's a great point.
For white people, by white people.
100%. Well, hey, we got another call that's related to parenting, the relationships that adults have with their parents. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Hey, Chaz, Dave Lee Scales. Just calling in from West Oz. Been sat on this one for a couple of weeks and just thought the press had gone very quiet on it. So it's kind of been bugging me a little bit. So I wanted to discuss Tyler Wright's interview lineup, episode 147. Absolutely amazed that she threw her dad under the bus with allegations of mental abuse and hints of physical abuse. Dave Prodham just left it flat, didn't kind of follow up on that line of questioning, and just seemed sick and really not the way to go to, as I say, throw your dad under the bus in a public interview. Anyways, certainly not going to hear it on the lineup, and definitely won't hear it on Double Up. So I just wanted to see what you guys thought about the whole thing. Enjoying the show, absolutely fantastic. It has me in stitches every week, and really enjoying it. So keep up the great work, guys. And next stop, Margaret River. Can't wait. I'll be down there. Hopefully they don't get run over by the right motorcade. So see you soon. Cheers, guys. Thanks.
I see you adjusting your earphones. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can. It's just like it's funny how the earphone tech really like upped itself so quick. Like, remember when, of course, when Apple came out with this one, where's the,
Yes.
and it just does not stay in the ear to sit, like they made a sleek, like spaceship looking earphone that looked real cool that does not stay in the human ear.
Yeah. Well, that listener was, just to recap, asking about Tyler Wright's interview on Dave Prodhan's podcast, The Lineup, which is produced by the WSL. And apparently she threw her dad under the bus with allegations of mental abuse. And I think he might have even said physical abuse. And he was shocked that she would throw the dad under the bus. Do you have any awareness of this episode or this storyline?
No, not of the episode, but of the storyline. Yes. Right. There's like been smoke, a lot of it from the fires that Tyler sparks in various interviews and whatnot, right? About the dad wanted us to be surfers and so really pushed us hard. And, you know, that like that narrative, and that's all fine and good. But like, I mean, okay, if there was really abuse, that's one thing, right? Like proper abuse. But let's talk about the slippery sliding scale of abuse. To make great surfers, which all of them are, I'm sure dad was like a taskmaster. Look at King Richard. Look at, you know, like, to make greatness is not and it's terrifying. It's a terrifying journey or a terrifying tightrope. I get it, right? Like I feel this, the deeper I get into this ballet thing, when are you pushing your kid too hard, right? When is it, but to not push or to not provide avenues where they will be pushed, but all of that can in hindsight can be looked back on. Well, you pushed me too hard. Like, everything hindsight is of course 2020. For Tyler, I think as a professional surfer, as a world champion, etc., where she is undoubtedly because of her father. So for her to continue on the path and then go kick her father under the bus, if she had not surfed, if she had stopped surfing and was in a total other career, say an actress or something, and talked about her abusive childhood where her dad wanted her to be a pro surfer and that is the last thing in the world she wanted, but he continued to try to make her, then I would say, well, you have a case, right? You didn't want to do this. Your dad kept trying to make you do this. Was as soon as you had your own opportunity, you stopped doing it and became something else. But no, you became a professional surfer, which seems to me any kind of kicking dad on the bus and what dad did. Sure, all of this, it was probably a lot of unhealthy stuff. There was probably a lot of hard stuff. There's probably a lot of times that it was too much, whatever. But how do you ever know in the moment? And look what it created. It created world champion or a world champion surfer. And so stuff it, Tyler Wright. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, to me, but she is perpetually, I think Tyler Wright is the poster child for talking out of both sides of her mouth, for cake eating it too, for all of for performative junk that she does nothing about, for all of this stuff, right? Like, That is Tyler Wright. And so to whine about the abuse that your dad dished out to make you a pro surfer while being a pro surfer and cashing those pro surfer checks, shush your mouth.
It's a good take. to be honest. It is a good take. I mean, because I was a little conflicted when I got this call. I was like, I don't feel comfortable necessarily talking about somebody else's family dynamics when I know nothing about them, right? Well, that's really not what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So the reason why I played it is, no, we don't need to discuss their family dynamics because we don't know them. I have no insights. I didn't even listen to the episode. It would be the first episode of the lineup that I'd ever listen to if I did listen to that episode. And I'm not going to start now, but there's a greater kind of issue here, which is exactly what you identified, you know? And so it's almost no matter what, almost, by the way, almost no matter what the situation was at home, I'm not sure it's ever okay to have that public conversation, to throw your parents under the bus in that way. I understand that if abuse was egregious enough that there does need, if there's criminal behavior, maybe whatever it happens to be, there is a version that needs to be brought to light and the authorities need to be alerted so that this behavior doesn't perpetuate, you know,
Sure.
and affect other people or your kids and all that sort of stuff.
But that's the bar, right? It's not my parents spanked me.
And so if that's the bar for Tyler, maybe that is the bar for Tyler that she is now acknowledging, and that's why she's making it public. But I'm going to guess that maybe it isn't that egregious. And so the reason why it's only why it should only be done in those circumstances is your parents are people too. Your parents are struggling people. They're trying their hardest, you know? I don't think that there's malice intent. I don't think that they're making mistakes along the way. And you experienced life in a certain way that you do apparently feel like a victim about, but you need to have a certain level of sympathy for the person who is trying their hardest. Again, if it falls short of proper neglect, proper criminal behavior, all that sort of stuff, you need to have sympathy for that person. And especially when their version of doing it, as flawed as it may be, has provided you with a very
what you are today,
uniquely beautiful lifestyle. Like, you do have so much more privilege than 99.9% of not only humans that live today, but of all of human civilization. And so if you can't recognize that privilege was largely the result of the parenting that you received, then it's silly to focus on the bad parts of that parenting. You know, it really is it's disrespecting all of the good parts of the parenting.
I mean, yeah, it's just, and again, you are exactly right. I don't have more insight than that. The only insight I have of whatever, Tyler Wright's father and Owen's and Mikey's dad was that he wanted pro surfer kids, so really pushed him hard, right? Like really did it for him or whatever, you know. I don't know. So if she was hinting at abuse other than that, but if that's what the abuse was hinted at, and even if she was hinting at abuse other than that, that's, yeah, again, like you said, like it's, you know, whatever. Like I personally don't feel there is a time or place, because exactly to your point, everybody makes mistakes. I am making massive mistakes with Henry. I'm not making massive mistakes with my daughter because I want to, because I'm trying to make mistakes. I'm making mistakes because I'm human and I'm doing the best I can, which is not perfect.
And aren't there some things that just aren't for public consumption? Like, again, if it's criminal behavior that needs to be brought to light, okay, that's one thing, but you're not alerting the authorities to his behavior. You're just airing your dirty laundry for other people to then have a negative opinion about your father. And I just don't understand the point of that. Like, I understand even if you feel victimized and are aggrieved and you're creating healthy boundaries to where you don't spend time with your dad, that's all fine and good. Why would you talk about it with Dave Prodan?
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
And putting it on a podcast. We all have things about our parents that we wish were different, I'm sure, you know, but we're not, you don't talk about it publicly. Like, there's certain things that are reserved for you and your spouse to hold, you know, I don't know. I mean, I just think it's insane.
It's ridiculous. And again, getting all hopped up and mad about it when I didn't listen to the podcast and won't listen to the podcast, I think is silly. But I think for me, but Tyler Wright, I think people pile on Tyler, and I'm sure she feels, or I think a lot of the surf community piles on her, right? And I think she probably feels it's because I'm gay, I'm openly gay, because I'm a woman, because of this kind of stuff. And it's, if I was an openly gay woman, I'd be like, Tyler Wright, like, you give all of us a bad name. You look like a whiner. You look like, you're not helping anybody else out here. You're not doing anybody any favors. And I don't mean doing people favors by, being a version of some sanitized thing that, people want to hear or see or whatever. I don't mean that at all. She seems like a whiner perpetually.
Yeah. And here we are whining about her.
Yep. Whine away. I got a hard out in 15 accidentally too, by the way.
Okay, great. Good to know. Well, I think, by the way, her surfing at Margaret River is top notch. Like her opening round heat, I saw a couple of waves like on Instagram because I wasn't watching the event, but I was really impressed by the flow, speed, power, and flow from the beginning. Like just rail to rail, off the bottom, huge hack, boom, off the bottom again, coming off of that, another huge hack. No little, no downtime in between anything, just rail to rail to rail. So it's good to see that.
All credit to Rob Wright throwing rocks at her when she was 8 years old out there, getting her to link her turns.
I was going to say all credit to John Pizell, but that too.
And John
All right.
Pizell.
Barrel or Not, of course, is now wrapped in warm, buttery neoprene, brought to you by Buell. Buell Surf. When you need wetsuits, any sort of, they have impact suits. They now have soft tops. They've got everything you need. Buell. Give me a talking point on Buell, Chaz.
Oh, I'm sorry. I froze up there. I have my Buell. Got my Buell. Did we talk about getting our Buells last time?
I don't think so.
Did we have them last show?
Oh, yeah, we did last week. We did. Yeah.
I mean, again, I fondled that wetsuit before getting on the plane to New York, and I cannot wait to go back and get into that wetsuit and surf. The quality, I mean, it's like, I often surf in not high quality wetsuits, right? Like it's easy to go for kind of the cheaper wetsuit, and not that Buells are expensive. They're perfectly priced, but having a quality wetsuit is a whole different thing. You can go get $99 wetsuits still. They're out there.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Do not do that. Buell is precisely like, it feels high quality, made in a cold water place, Santa Cruz, and perfect for what you need.
Well, they also have your single millimeter option. So you were hyping that before we even had Buell as a sponsor. You're like, the single mil option's the option.
It
I don't
is
need
the
these variations.
Luxury.
Yeah.
It is Versailles of wetsuits.
You've got the straight 4 mil suit. I've got the straight 3 mil suit. And find it all on, of course, BuellSurf.com. Thank you, Buell, for wrapping this segment like a present for our listeners in neoprene. We have got a listener line call that we're going to kick off this segment with. So here you go.
Hey, Joe from San Diego for the Grit. We've spoken about kissing babies ad nauseum. We already know where everybody stands. Some people stand one side of the line, some the other. But what I really want to know now is, what about letting your dog lick you on the lips? Or some people will even go as far as to talk when their dog kisses them in the face and lets the old tongue slip into the mouth. How about that? How about pet on human contact? I'm interested to hear what you guys say.
Dogs kissing humans.
An absolute banger of a call. Very, very well done in pulling this one out. In my younger years, I might have said barrel in turn for a couple reasons. I might have fallen for the old wives' tale, which I don't know, it's not true, but I don't know that it's true, that dogs' mouths are cleaner than human mouths, right? You've heard that before.
I've heard it.
That old chestnut. So I would have said that makes it a barrel. And also, if you're into it, that makes it a barrel. And also that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that getting various germs in there, introducing new toxins, your body's got to deal with that and get healthier and figure out how to fight those germs and whatnot. So I will say, if you're an adult, it is absolutely no barrel to kiss your dog on the mouth, because it's just juvenile and weird. Nothing about cleanliness, nothing about dirty stuff. It's just weird. It's weird to get down there and kiss a dog, let a dog's tongue rub over your mouth or face, right? Like even if a dog starts licking your face, you should get the dog away quick, right? It's not a behavior that should be encouraged. Uh, on that for an adult. For the kid though, I still think it's important. If your baby's crawling around, your dog goes and licks their head and whatnot. That's all fine and good. Let the baby like get the baby's tolerance for various germs and whatnot up. That's fine. But for an adult, it is no barrel.
Yeah. In that scenario, the dog is treating the baby like it's one of its litter. So
Yeah.
it is protecting the baby. It's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. And now what's weird about this is living in Southern California, as a society, we have a different relationship with dogs than all of society who came before. And there's other societies around the world who have a similar relationship that we do now, but it's very different than the vast majority of human evolution's relationship with dogs and domesticated dogs even. And that is they're equivalent to children. They eat as good as children. They get pampered as well as children. And so licking the lips, all that sort of stuff is now commonplace here. I see it all the time. Dogs riding on planes, all this sort of stuff, right? And I want to go back to the older way of life. I have been duped into this version of a relationship with the dog. And to be perfectly honest, I am not happy with it. And my dog's not happy with it.
No.
My dog needs more discipline, needs more structure, would prefer to sleep outside, and protect the house and should have purpose that way. And this became crystal clear to me when I went and spent time with Chris Malloy to record a podcast on his 150-acre ranch. And I get there and there's 3 or 4 dogs. And we enter his house and I go, oh, should I close the door? Should I let the dogs in? And he laughed at me. He's like, are you kidding me? No, those dogs have never been inside one day in their life. And he lives out, again, on this ranch where there are, predator animals, mountain lions, all this stuff. And it's cold. Like it gets frigid out where he is. His dogs sleep outside. And it's like those dogs were the most well-behaved dogs. They seemed happy. You know what I mean? They're not nearly as groomed or pampered as my dog. And all I'm doing is creating neuroses for my dog by treating her the way that we treat her. Or I'll say, by the way, my wife treats her. And so, licking on the face, dude, no way. In that scenario, that dog is your equal and it will always be freaking out, trying to misbehave because it thinks you're equals. It's trying to now protect the house, protect you. It's going to bark at the mailman, whatever. Like it needs to know its place, which is not the alpha position in the pack.
I think all dog related questions can probably be answered with the other simple question. What would Chris Malloy do?
Nailed it, dude. Absolutely nailed it.
Would Chris Malloy spend $180 on dog food that comes shipped from some gluten-free facility to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Is that what Chris Malloy's doing?
No. Would Chris Malloy get an IV drip when he gets sick?
No. I mean, I guess that answers not just dog-related questions, all questions.
Exactly.
What would Chris Malloy do?
Great point. I'm going to get a bracelet made.
Me too. We should make t-shirts.
What's your timeline now? How many minutes?
I got like 6.
Okay, good. Real quick one then, which I already know your answer. Board shorts in public. Hey guys, Bob T, part-time resident of Hawaii here. Barrel or not, wearing board shorts as daily wear, like running errands or shopping at the store, dropping kids off at school, eating lunch at some place. I see a lot of guys here going about their day wearing board shorts as if it were any other type of pant or walk shorts, sometimes even paired with shoes. And also, just yes or yay or nay. No conditionals, just a straight barrel or not, like the olden days. Thanks.
Uh-oh, I got a conditional for him. Wearing boardies is barrel in Hawaii on the islands, but you got to be in slippers. You cannot put shoes on. It is the Hawaiian national costume, right? Or statewide costume, I think, is board shorts and slippers and a tank top. You are in the fine lineage of Andy and Bruce Irons, all the way down to Buffalo. You are part of a proud heritage. But outside of Hawaii, it's a no barrel.
It's absolutely no barrel outside of Hawaii. Even in Hawaii, I say it's no barrel. But I'll tell you what's great is a number of years ago, they started making like walk shorts. So they're cut like a regular short with
But it's board
pockets,
shorts
but
material.
made out of board short material. It's the perfect solution for this.
It is not. It is not. Have you seen those things? Those things still look like board shorts. Like the drape of a board short and the way the board short moves that's what defines the board short, not its drawstring, and it's the material that defines it, I think, or part of what defines it. Not like if they had a board short that was made from, I don't know, cut off corduroy, then you could say, okay, that's a fine short to wear in public. Also, you can surf in it. I in fact surf in a cut off corduroy pair of shorts.
I feel like maybe like OP used to have those or something.
Yeah.
It feels like an OP thing.
OP did.
All right. Well, we're separating. You go barrel in Hawaii. I'm going no barrel, full stop.
Okay.
No conditionals. Final barrel or not comes from Jay Martinez. It's a classic.
David Lee Scales, Chaz, Jay Martinez in Florida. Man, I got an ingrown hair the size of a non-GMO cotton candy grape on the inside of my thigh right now, like directly where the rail touches the thigh. I blame the above-knee Mikey Wright board shorts I'm forced to wear, but we'll save that for another time. I needed a break from my Judaic hypochondria, thoughts of leg amputation, so I'm checking in with a 4-piece barrel or not. These are in the lineup mannerisms, ones I think we'll all recognize, but don't think we've covered here yet. Number 1, the palm squeeze water squirt. Sitting in a lineup, squirting little streams skyward or at somebody's face by squeezing partially submerged hands together. Number 2, the nose grab paddle. This should be differentiated from the nose grab no paddle takeoff, a definite barrel. This is a less functional, almost ornamental grabbing of the nose and often involves leaving one hand on the tip and paddling with the other. This move seems to be an effective way to unassumingly reposition oneself in a lineup. I don't know. Number 3, the cross-footed paddle. Pretty self-explanatory, paddling with your feet crossed. And number 4, the missed wave falsetto. We've already established cussing in anger at a missed wave is a definite no barrel, but imagine you just attempted a nose grab, no paddle takeoff with your feet crossed, but a stiff offshore blows you back, and as you miss it, you emit a cackly falsetto cry of disappointment, almost like a crow calling. Ah! So to recap, 1, squirt, 2, nose grab, 3, feet crossed, 4, ah! Are any of these behaviors a mark of the Kook or Curran, or alternatively a sign of pretension? Shout out to our sponsors, AG1, Sunbum, Real Water Sports, Bayer, Fuel, and LinkedIn for that JOB, y'all. P.S. Do you think the Dalai Lama stooped Michael Jackson, or did Michael Jackson stoop the Dalai Lama? Or did they switch positions? Keep work.
Jay Martinez. Classic.
Quite the writer.
So I'm going to go no barrel on hand squirt. It is something juvenile and silly. Like, there's other things to do depending on the lineup with your hands to keep yourself occupied. I understand that we're all human and all, to have various levels of ADHD, and just sitting still in the water is boring a lot of times, right? So I like personally to pick at seaweed, like grab a piece of seaweed that floats by and just kind of, pick on it or whatever. There's other stuff to do out there than that hand squirt thing is always annoying to me. So I'm going no barrel on that. What do you give on that one?
Well, I'm fine with it. Like, I've perfected it. I've spent so much time in the water. I remember early days in the water, seeing other people do like a perfect arching squirt. And I was like, whoa, how do you do that? And then over the course of 30 years of surfing, it's just common second nature to me now.
So you're giving it a barrel.
Sure.
I mean, okay. I'm going to go no. Moving on. The cool, like, he's talking about paddling for a wave, because oftentimes, like, I'll be in the lineup and paddling and then just, don't need to move very fast. And so we'll grab the nose and just paddle with one arm just because I'm resting the other arm, right?
Yeah.
He's talking about on a wave takeoff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say barrel. It looks pretty cool when it works.
Yeah, I think it's cool too. I mean, there's a position there when you're riding a pointy thruster, sometimes the micro adjustments matter,
Yep.
in terms of positioning and where you're going to get to your feet and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of more of what that's about. And if it's a wave that's right about to break and you don't need both arms to paddle, and it's totally functional.
Barrel.
It's a functional one for me. I'm barrel with it. The cross-footed paddle, I don't think that even factors in. Sometimes it's just a natural feeling. So we don't
But
need
not
to
when I've crossed legs when paddling around the lineup, but never for a wave.
No,
No. You're just asking for tangles and trouble.
Yeah. But the missed wave falsetto really hit home for me.
Yep.
Because the missed wave falsetto, I have found myself doing, and then I'm embarrassed. I'm like, oh no, the people who are around me think I'm just giving that caw to to let them know that I tried my hardest, but I missed it. Like, don't blame me. That wave went unridden. And I'm just letting you know, like, I tried my hardest, but it naturally comes out. It's like an instinct that comes out of you.
But I'm going to say it's only barrel. There's a time that it is barrel when you cannot help it, when you are really giving your all, right? If you're aware of yourself making that scream, then it's a no barrel. If you're like, if it's performative, and or if you're doing the one hand paddle and you missed it, if you're doing something that you shouldn't have been doing, if you're not digging full, but that feeling of digging full for a wave and missing it, of being a little too far out, or the wind being a little too stiff and you a little too wimpy, any of those feelings are super frustrating. And so the natural is good.
And he nailed it. And it's instinctual. For some reason, every human being, it doesn't matter what language you speak, every human being around the planet gives that exact when you fail to catch the wave. And the reason why is it's your own fault. It's like, if I was in a better position, I should have been in a better position. Next time I'll be in a better position, if I was in better shape, if I didn't eat a burrito last night for dinner, whatever it is, this is my fault.
It's never the wave's fault. Yeah, I think that frustrating yell is never I'm never frustrated at the wave. I'm always frustrated at myself for not catching it. But you're not allowed to be frustrated at yourself if you're doing something, frivolous. Like if you're one hand paddling and miss it, that's not barrel. And or if you are only doing it if you think, oh, people are going to be bummed at me, like this wave was a little too big or something, I didn't really want it, but so I'm going to half fake dig and then give the scream. You can't do that.
I'm going to make a remix of Jay Martinez going, "Caw!"
Yeah.
I love the fact that I've never even thought about the missed wave falsetto before in my life. And so I love that he brought it to our attention because it's universal.
Thank you, Jay Martinez.
Thank you, Jay Martinez. Thank you, Buell. BuellSurf.com. Check them out. Jamie O'Brien's on the team. Dane's on the team. Nat Young's on the team. They've got a banger team.
That's the other thing, too, I think, along with what would Chris Malloy do? I think you can say any product that Dane endorses is good enough for you.
I'm fine with it. I'm totally cool with that, too. And Dane and Chris Malloy are neighbors, essentially. Yeah. So there you go. Good things coming from the Central Coast. All right. Thank you, BuellSurf.com. Of course, thank you, VayerWatches.com. Go to SurfSplendorPodcast.com to find everything and to support our work. BeachGrit.com to find the latest news in the surf world. Chaz, anything else from you?
I think that's it. I apologize for the slow posts here from New York, but we'll get back on it. Going home
Enjoy
soon.
the time with family.
Will do.
All right. Until next week, Hannah.
Bon voyage.
Right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.